السلام عليكم. أهلا وسهلا فيكم. I'm Mohamed Maktabi, a third generation carpet family from Iwan Maktabi. We're based in Beirut and Dubai, and I'm here tonight to talk to you about the history of the great carpets of the world. First of all, I'd like to thank the DBF for hosting this first ever Islamic Biennale in Jeddah in this beautiful setting. That is, we all agree is breathtaking and charming. When we talk about carpets, we have images in our mind directly. We conjure images of the Orient, of 1001 Nights, of rooms filled with incense burning, with cushions, with silks, and layers upon layers of carpets. But also, carpets have a tendency to bring the humans closer to the divine. Carpets have existed since the early antiquity. We don't know how carpets in early antiquity looked like, but we can guess that the first inhabitants of the caves already felt the need to have a carpet on their floor, so they brought simple wool to cover their floor to create heat. Eventually, carpets started carrying messages and disseminating information and telling stories of the peoples. The earliest carpet that came to us from antiquity is the Pazyryk carpet. The Pazyryk carpet was discovered in 1949. Wait, I need to get you some images. So here's the Pazyryk carpet. The Pazyryk carpet was discovered in 1949 in a frozen tomb, a cave in Mongolia. It was preserved because the water had seeped into the cave and had safeguarded all the material in the cave, which was a burial cave for us to discover. A close inspection of the Pazyryk carpet show us quite an elaborate design with many colors. It shows us human beings dressed in different types of dresses and riding horses with a field of rosettes and flowers. This carpet is 2,500 years old, and today it is found in the Hermitage Museum in St. Petersburg. If anybody has a chance to go to St. Petersburg, I urge you to go and see this carpet. I wasn't lucky enough. 1,000 years later, specifically in the year 620 and 624, during the Arab invasion of the Persian capital, Ctesiphon, the Arabs finally succeeded in invading the Persian Empire, and they invaded the throne room of Khosrow, the Shah. There they came face to face with the Spring of Khosrow, this magnificent carpet that was hanging on the walls of the throne room of Khosrow. The history says that the carpet was multicolored, made from wool and silk. Some even say that it was studded with jewels. The Arabs were stunned by the beauty, cut it to pieces, returned home with these pieces as trophy. And this was the beginning of the fascination between the Arabs and the Persian for these carpets. Persian appears in Arab courts and appeared even in Arab poetry. 150 years later, after the fall of Ctesiphon, Al-Buhtari mentioned the Spring of Khosrow, this magnificent carpet, in his poetry. We move forward to the 15th century, when small Anatolian carpets appeared in European paintings. This is the first time that we see early Anatolian carpets appear in European paintings, and this is how we can actually date them, because the paintings carry the name of the artist and they carry the date the painting was made. These carpets were all small in size, limited in color, and their designs usually were a repetition of small stars or small medallions. And we call these carpets, we gave the name of these carpets to the name of the artist who painted the paintings. So we have We have like the Lotto carpet or the Holbein carpet because the artist is called Lotto, or the German artist Holbein. In the 16th century, suddenly appears large format Ottoman court carpets. And there is two historical reasons why these carpets appeared at this date and age. This is more paintings from the 15th century Ottoman, and we see how they appeared in everyday life as well as in the churches and the paintings of the church, because they were considered to be extremely rare and valuable pieces that traveled from the exotic Orient to the European capital through Venice, that was an important trade hub between the Ottoman Empire and the European kingdoms. Yes, I went overboard with choosing a lot of pictures, as you can see. But you see they are small in size, as I said, limited in colors, and you have a repetition of small medallions. Suddenly, we see these court carpets that appeared in Ottoman Turkey in the 16th century. The two reasons for the appearance of large, rich, well-designed, multi-colorful carpets with complex designs in the Ottoman courts are two historical events. One is the fall of Tabriz under Ottoman rule in 1514. The Ottomans invaded Tabriz, and they came close contact with the Persian weavers who were already producing refined Persian carpets. The story has it that the Ottomans took the Persian weavers back with them to the Ottoman capital and asked them to produce these large format court carpets. The second historical event was the fall of Cairo, which was under Mamluk rule. It was invaded by the Ottoman in 1517. The Mamluks, you probably all know, they were mercenaries from Central Asia that took over Cairo in the 13th century and ruled for 300 years. They established a dynasty of the Mamluk mercenaries, and their rule covered all of Egypt and most of Syria. The Mamluk sultans were patrons of the art, and they developed a very exquisite language in architecture, metalwork, glasswork. Even their Qur'ans today are very sought after. In the Biennale, when you go to the section of the antique pieces, you will see a lot of Mamluk glass. You will see some Mamluk Qur'ans as well. The Mamluks already had developed their own line and designs in carpets. And the Ottomans met the Mamluk weavers. They were impressed by their designs. And we think, in carpet history, we think that actually the first Ottoman court carpets were produced in Cairo and Damascus before the Ottomans decided to move the weavers with them to Bursa, and then eventually they made the way to Istanbul, and this is when the major carpets appeared. I brought with me from our own collection two fragments from Ottoman court carpets. To my left, you see an Ottoman Ushak medallion carpet. Why is it a fragment? Because from 1550 until the 21st century, very few carpets actually have survived in complete format. You have to go to Istanbul to the Vakiflar Museum. They have stunning pieces, almost in full format. But other than that, usually these carpets didn't win the test of time and have fallen to pieces. This fragment is a valuable fragment. It is from the 16th century. We can see the vibrancy of the colors and the multi-layered design in the border, which is in dark blue. The red field, permit me to show you, this would have been the field of the carpet, and look at the exquisite two-colored design, which looks like cloud motif of flowers. The carpet would have been probably 8 meters in length, 6 meters in width, and would have occupied a huge room in the Topkapi Saray or another palace in Istanbul. Also from our private collection, and to my right, you see another seminal carpet, which is also an Uşak medallion Ottoman court carpet. This particular piece is very dear to my heart because it is very difficult to find a carpet that has this design. If you see, you have 3 moons and 2 lips repeated all over the field of the carpet, and this would have been one of the medallion of the carpet. This design with 3 moons and 2 lips is called Chintamani. We call it Chintamani because it means literally the man from China. This was one of the designs that was adopted by the Ottoman court in the 16th century, just like the tulip and afterwards the carnation. This is an early Ottoman court symbol. It was found in Chinese ceramics, but the real story behind it is that this was the signature of Genghis Khan when he was invading all of the world. He would, again, this is the story that says that anywhere Genghis Khan would go, blood will be everywhere on the streets, and he would dip his 3 fingers in the street in blood and then put his imprint on the wall. And if you look, you will have 2 lips and 3 half moons embedded on the wall in blood. And this was the signature of Genghis Khan in blood. Eventually, like everything that evolves, the stories advanced and evolved, and it became the Chintamani, the man from China, the cloud band. It became also the symbol of the pelt of the tiger, until it found its way to the Ottoman Empire and to the courts of the Ottoman sultans. Hello, for those of you missed the beautiful story of this fragment from our collection. It's a 16th century fragment of a court carpet. You will have a drop quiz later, so you better prepare. So we are now in the 16th century. We know why the Ottomans started making large-size carpets, because they met the Tabrizi weavers in Tabriz, and then they met the Mamluk weavers in Cairo, took them back with them to Istanbul. What you see here is an example. Again, this is from our private family collection. It's a beautiful Mamluk carpet that was woven either in Cairo or in Damascus. You see the elaborate geometric motif that reminds us of Mamluk Qurans and Mamluk architecture. At the same time as the Ottomans were weaving these big carpets, there were magnificent carpets being produced in Iran. We know that Persian carpets existed for a very long time before the first dated carpet ever fell into our hand. But we don't have proof of how early Persian carpets look like. We know that carpets from Iran before the Safavid rule were complex and complicated. They were produced either in the tribes by tribal people, but also in major settled communities and cities. But the first and foremost and most famous carpet of them all arrived to us in the form of the Ardabil carpet, which you see right here. The Ardabil carpets were actually a pair of carpets woven in 1552 under the rule of Shah Tahmasp I, the Safavid ruler. The Safavids took control of the Persian Empire and consolidated their power around 1501. They were very powerful, and they laid the peace over the whole Persian Empire, and quickly they became patrons of the art. So they had major achievements and accomplishment in architecture. Beautiful Qurans came from the Safavid court, as well as miniatures and the magnificent carpets of Isfahan. This particular pair, I decided to talk about them because they are the earliest recorded dated carpets from the Safavid period. These 2 carpets were made to be put in the Ardabil mosque. If you look at the design is complex, filled with flowers and details, multicolored. The carpet is 10.5 meters long by 5.5 meters wide. It has a signature and a date. The date places it at 1552. It has a signature of the weaver as well as a poem from the Sufi poet Hafiz. If you notice how the weaver made the two lamps that flank the main medallion, you have a lamp here that is bigger in size than this one. There is a reason for this. The weaver didn't make a mistake. Actually, he wanted a perspective that when you lay them on the ground, the bigger lamp will be at the back, so when you look at them, they will they will appear to have the exact same size. These two carpets epitomize the beauty of Safavid carpets. And they have a nice story, because in the 19th century, they were very worn, and a British carpet broker found them and bought them, used one of the worn carpets to repair the second one, made it full, and sold it to the Victoria and Albert Museum, where we can go and see it and enjoy it. The second one that is smaller because it was cut up and chopped off to restore the first one, found its way to the LACMA Museum in the US of A. And this is why we know about the beauty of Safavid carpets in the 16th century. The rest of these carpets exist in major museums and major known collections. When we look at them, they are all extremely fine. They have a huge number of colors. Some known examples have over 120 colors in every carpet. Some of them are enormous in size, just like the Ardabil that is like over 50 square meters carpet. This is an example of a famous carpet where you see it is the fight of good and evil. We don't know who's gonna win, it's ongoing. So, all this beauty came to an end with the sack of Isfahan by the Afghans in 1754. They put an end to the rule of the Safavids, and for 100 years, the Persian Empire suffered political unrest and economic unrest. All the beautiful production of carpet went into disarray due to the fall of Isfahan, the city of the Safavids, and to the dissemination of their power. Not until 100 years later, when the Qajars took over and solidified their power in the Persian Empire, and even stretched and made the Persian Empire bigger, took parts of Russia and Georgia, that carpet production started taking shape again and started becoming important. Qajar rulers were, because they had centralized their power and they had fortified their rule, they became more interested in the arts again. And we know from Qajar, we know the beautiful big-size Qajar paintings that depict the prince or the sultan or the shah, which was a propaganda for Europe that tells about all his riches. We know the beautiful woodwork of the Qajar, and we know the revival of the carpets under the Qajar rule. The revival is the most important and the last big revival of Persian carpets. It took place in the last quarter of the 19th century. There are two reasons for this. One reason is that the Persian population was becoming richer, and a lot of the local domestic market was asking for more carpets. There were more palaces, so the production for the local market of carpets inside the Persian Empire was very big. And this revival was also coupled with demand for Persian carpet from Europe and the USA. The reason was in 1880 Paris, there was the Exposition Internationale. There was a big stand with fantastic Persian carpets, and it immediately put the Persian carpets à la mode. As well, all the industrialists in the USA wanted Persian carpets in their homes, and this pushed a lot of European companies to open offices, representative offices in Iran, in Persia, in the last quarter of the 19th century. They went deep in the center of the country, in the heart of the country, to control production, produce enough carpets for the market, and ship out to satisfy the demand in Europe and the USA. These two reasons made what we call the golden age of the carpets in the 19th century. I brought with me for you today some carpets from our carpet exhibition that's taking place in Hay Jamil. I forgot to tell you that. But I perfectly chose the carpets to talk about these two types of carpets. Carpets that were made in the 19th century, either for local domestic use in the Persian Empire or for export to the rest of the world. Before I talk about these carpets, I like to ask you if you have any questions. Did I miss anything? Do you need me to clarify anything for you? Dania? No? You're okay? No? So I'll start telling you this. Just a second. So we're in the 19th century. We're around 1870, 1880. The world is becoming more global. The Persian Shah has took his first trip to Europe. He went and visited Vienna, he visited Moscow, and he even visited Paris. At the same time, big industrialists in the US are building big houses in New York, and they want only Persian carpets on their floors. And they are looking everywhere for Persian carpets. In London, same thing. In the Persian Empire, in the UK, Persian carpets are all the rave. What I'm showing you here is a carpet that was produced in Iran after the visit of the Shah to Versailles. He saw that in Versailles there were beautiful tapestries adorning the walls, depicting cherubims, depicting musical instruments. And he said, why don't I have the same thing in my palace? This is a carpet. This is knotted in Kerman in 1870. It has the name of the person who commissioned the carpet. It has the name of the weaver. And the design in the center is directly inspired from a 16th century tapestry that was commissioned by Louis XIV for Versailles. The faces around the main field, where am I? I'm here. So these faces are the faces of famous European princes, but also famous Persian personality in the Qajar court. And here you have the signature, the date, and the name of the person who commissioned the carpet. So already, the 19th century, there was productions in Iran of these fantastic carpets that were made only to emulate the Europeans for Persian courts. Here I have two carpets side by side. I would like to ask your opinion. Which one do you think was made for the local domestic market in the Persian Empire, and which one was made for export? Who should I ask? Faisal. So you have one in silk, one in wool. You have one with metal dark background and one with white background.
Before I answer, can I ask a question?
Of course.
You mentioned oldest carpet. What's the oldest silk carpet? When did silk become a material used for carpets?
There is a great carpet that actually, I should have mentioned this carpet. It is also a great carpet. It's a Timurid carpet made out of silk that was acquired by Qatar not long time ago, some 30 years ago only. I had the chance of inspecting it when it first came down to the market. It was an extremely rare carpet made from 100% silk, and right under the medallion there was a checkerboard. So it was tested for age, and it is thought that it was the carpet that Genghis Khan used to play chess on. And it was made from silk, and it was dated to the 13th century. 14th century, the time of Genghis Khan. So yes, silk existed. Silk existed in carpets since silk was known, and since silk came from China to Iran. Famous silk carpets, just to add to your question about when silk was used, famous silk carpets mixed with metal silver thread were produced in Isfahan in the 16th century. They were produced for the local Shah in Isfahan, and they were produced as special commissions for Poland and other European courts.
So you answered the question. I think the silk is the export.
Funny enough, no, that was a trick question. I'll explain to you the reason. The higher carpet is made from silk, and the blackened background is actually silver thread. It is produced in a technique that is raised. Anybody who likes to go in and touch it, please, you're most welcome to come and touch it. The carpet is 140 years old, made in Kashan, in the workshop of Muhtasham. And he produced this particular carpet for the Qajar court to be given as gift to the princes in the court. So a prince who wanted to gift his cousin would have probably commissioned Muhtasham to make this carpet, the most complicated technique, which is raised silk, to use the rarest and most expensive material, which is silver that is dipped in gold, and with silk, to present it to his cousin, maybe who had moved to a new palace or had given birth maybe to a baby boy, probably. On the other hand, the lower carpet is made in Farahan. Farahan was an area that was very popular with the European companies who wanted to produce carpets for export. Europeans liked a lot to order more lighter carpets than what Persian carpets were produced. And white Farahan was very sought after in Europe. This carpet, if you notice the exquisite detailing of the flowers, even though it is not super complex like the court carpet, but it has a character of itself. It has an artistic freedom that appears beautifully on the white background. The best of wool have been used for this carpet, and all the colors are naturally and vegetably dyed. And again, really, it's a pleasure to touch the beauty of, to touch the finesse of this carpet. Now, everybody is wondering, what is this big, massive, huge? Please.
What would be the local artisan's view of both carpets? What would be for them the more exquisite, the harder to make, the more expensive? Because they both target different audiences.
True. This Kashan carpet was made inside a workshop. There was a master who doesn't weave himself at all. The master is probably a very rich person who has opened the workshop, bought the best materials, opened an office, and just took orders. And then he employed the best weavers to come into his workshop to execute the order. The master would be the one who would sign the carpet, and the carpet would carry the name of the master and not of the weaver. On the other hand, Farahan was a village. So these were probably female weavers taking orders, taking the wool, taking the loom, and going home, weaving the carpet at home, and then returning back to the market to sell it, or to the office of the company to sell it to them.
You said female, so for the master, would the employees be male or?
In a factory, in a workshop, probably it would be men who would be weaving, while at home it would be most probably the woman who would be weaving, because she would be doing the extra income while her husband would be out in nature not in nature, but he was taking care of the animals, of the sheep, of the camels, and all this stuff. So now I take you to this huge carpet. This huge carpet, strong in colors, vibrant, super rich in detail, was made in a village in the area of Bakhtiyar. Bakhtiyari weavers used to make only small carpets because they were humble people. They're living either in small houses or they were even nomadic. They were traveling with their sheep, going up in the summer to the mountain and going down during the winter to the valleys. But Bakhtiyar was lucky because the first oil that was discovered in the 19th century was in the Bakhtiyar region. So the Persian Shah was sharing the income of the first Anglo-Persian oil company with the Bakhtiyari Khan, and the Khans were the chief of the tribes. Suddenly, these chief of tribes that were only relying on their power with the families of their tribes became extremely rich people, and they made their way to the Qajar court in Tehran. Having new riches, they commissioned their own people in Bakhtiyar for large carpets. How do we know all this story? Because here, if you come and see, there is a huge cartouche, beautiful inscription that says, this important piece was produced in Bakhtiyar by the order given by His Highness Samsam al-Sultani in 1321 of the Hijr. Samsam al-Sultani was the prime minister of Iran on two occasions, in 1885 and in 1891. He was the richest Khan in Bakhtiyar, and in the second term of his premiership, he was actually the regent because the Shah was underage and he was a kid. So he was an extremely powerful person. He was probably the richest or the second richest man of the empire. And he commissioned this carpet from his people in a huge size of 6 meters by 4, because if you go today to Bakhtiyar, there's an old palace that is 150 years old. It's called Shalamzar. And you measure the rooms in the Shalamzar Bakhtiyar palace, they are the size of this carpet. So this carpet was actually produced to fit in the room of one of the palaces, hence making this carpet produced for the local market in Iran. Directly behind it, I brought for your pleasure a carpet made in Sultanabad in central Persia. You suddenly notice a very light coloration, sparse design. It's not busy. There's not a lot of design. All the elements of Persian designs are there. There is even a small medallion. There are 4 corners, but the colors are much lighter. This carpet was produced by Ziegler & Co., a German-Swiss company that went and opened offices in Iran. In mid-19th century, they started by buying wool in Iran and shipping it to Europe. And then they said, wait, we're just shipping raw material. Can we add an added value to this and ship it a little bit more expensive? They heard of great demand of carpets, so they employed carpet weavers, opened huge workshops for carpet, and started producing carpets. Their first exhibition was actually in 1885 in Liberties in London, where they were showing the first production that they had from Iran. So from wool exporters, they became carpet manufacturers and exporters. And today, Ziegler carpets are very sought after by a lot of interior architects, mainly in the US of A, because they use not so complex designs. They're not very busy. They fit the beige look of all the American interiors, where the paintings need to talk and the carpets need just to be subtler and softer. So here I put for you, face to face, 2 huge carpets made around the same period with 2 different aesthetics. One of them has a more Persianite look and feel. It even has a provenance. We know that it went to a high-ranking Persian official in the court. The other one was made directly. It never even set foot in any Persian city. Directly from the factory, from the workshop, it was packed up, put on top of a ship and shipped out to the UK to be sold there for carpet-loving enthusiasts.
From a different repertoire?
No, so basically they were definitely inspired from Persian designs, but you know, they were white people in the Orient. They say, take this Persian flower, just make it simpler, use less colors, yes, it's okay, ship it away. So if you see, all the elements of design are the same, but somehow they are simpler, simplified. Today, they appeal to our aesthetic maybe. If we are living in a minimalist house, maybe we like more, a less busy design than a very elaborate Persian carpet. But back in the days, it was just because they wanted to produce fast, satisfy the demand, and make a lot of money. So yes, they would get inspired from a local design, simplify it, and ship it off.
Thank you.
Please, everybody is very shy, so I'm gonna have to come down to you. This carpet has a very weird shape. If you look, it was a rectangular carpet, and somebody cut a square in the center of it. This carpet was produced in Farahan, the same area where this carpet was produced, but it was produced for a horse lover who wanted a very fancy carpet for his horse to keep him warm during the cold of winter. So this is actually a horse blanket produced in Iran by the order of a very rich Iranian personality. Can you see in the back? If you look, you can even see the leather trappings. Excuse me. You can see the leather trappings here and here to hold it. So this would be the tail of the carpet. The tail of the horse would come here, and his neck would come from here. This is 100% wool. The horse would be covered by a soft fabric, and then this will come on top. But this would be invariably used only in winter, because it's a thick blanket for the horse. But the winters in Iran are known to be very harsh. And now we return to our beloved Ziegler and Co., who had this carpet produced in Farahan at the same time that this horse cover was produced also in Farahan. Suddenly here we see the appearance of a color that we don't see a lot in Persian carpets, which is this very soft pistachio green. And we see 3 or 4 designs appearing together in the same time. The design of medallion with 4 corners suddenly is also doubled on the shawl design. Usually these stripes, which are the shawl of the marriage, the wedding of, the shawl used for the wedding of ladies in Iran, is a design on a carpet, but rarely does it come with a medallion. In this case, the ordering company ordered to mix designs together, produce a new design with new colors that were not necessarily very fashionable with the Persian market, but that would do very well for export. So again, this carpet and the horse cover were both produced around 1880, but for 2 different markets, but in the same place, in the same country. I hope that I got you a little bit excited about carpets. And now, please roam around, ask me a question, and roam around. Please, come on. Thank you.
mistakes in their carpets because it was felt that they could never be perfect. Yeah, it only got
Some of the tribes would specifically intentionally make a mistake, saying that perfection is only for God, and this is yes, but this is one explanation. But we were never present in his mind to see which one was intentional and which one was just because she was fed up with her husband.
yeah. No, I make mistakes because I'm just make mistakes.
Yes, definitely. Yes, please.
Talked about the domestic market, and so we talked about the domestic market and also the export market. But yeah, خذ راحتكم. Yeah, no, we talked about the domestic market and the Western market. What about the market with like Central Asia, Afghanistan, the Arab world, Turkey? What would be the market exported to them? And second question, what would be the influence of the Persian carpets on Central Asian market and carpets and also Turkish carpets?
Iran was the major exporter of carpets in the 19th century. And the receiver of their carpets were mainly Europe, the US of A, and Russia, a little bit Russia. Other than that, no. The Turks would seldom, almost never import from Iran. And so same with Afghanistan. So it was basically they were exporting to established big empires that had, during the 19th century, there was this industrial revolution where there was a lot of rich people building big houses and asking for avid for these carpets.
These sold as Persian.
Yes, no, of course.
They said they
Yes, yes, definitely. No, they were proud to tell that these carpets were Persian, but they would make them in the style that is more appropriate and that is more in control because they used to order the sizes of the European rooms as well.
Heather, this was nice. Sorry
For yes.
which kind of carpet, this one or the other one, worked better, was sold more sold in Europe or the US? This one and this one, because both were made.
Both no, this was made for the local market, this was made for export. So it started with this, but then after First World War, this eventually disappeared, and then all the carpets was mainly made for export.
This kind of carpet.
Yeah, so
Then this
it's a trend. It's a trend. اهلا ستنا كيف صحتك يا هلا.
I have a silk carpet. طبعا لما اشتريناها when they said it's Persian. بس ايام الكورونا لفيناها we used the room. بعدين لما جيت افتحها كلها حصلتها كده.
Yes. So we have a question from a lady who owns a silk carpet that once she rolled it and then unrolled it, she saw slits inside it. And slits like somebody had taken a razor and just slit it open. Yeah, this is usually what happens in fine silk carpets when they are exposed to humidity. With humidity, the silk suddenly starts to get bigger and it simply explodes inside the carpet. Usually, I don't like to say, but it is the beginning of the cancer of carpets. So we can treat it, we can dry it, put it in the sun, and then start closing these slits slowly. But depending on how much it has been exposed to humidity, will it come back again or will it go? We don't know. It can be fixed. It can be fixed, sure. Always roll your carpets. Please, if you have question for care, feel free to ask, because we like you to, these are family heirlooms, and we like you to keep them and from generation to generation as much as you can. So if you have a carpet, I'll give you the ABC on how to care for your carpet. Definitely roll any carpet that you have. Put it above the floor so and away from a duct of an AC, okay? Put it in a room that has AC in Jeddah. always. Because if you keep it in the heat, it will have humidity, and then there will be some bugs. So keep it in a clean room, keep it rolled, keep it higher than the ground, keep it in a controlled climate environment, and take it out once or twice a year and put it outside in the sun with the back of the carpet facing the sun, always. Never the face. Because sun and water are the two enemies of any carpet. Sun bleaches everything. Look at your sofa that receives sun every day. The carpet will be the same. So if it's in your home and it's open and it's not stored, what I advise you is to watch the movement of the sun and close the drapes, close the curtains when the sun hits directly your carpet. Also use the hoover to hoover it evenly once a week from the face, and once a month turn it also, because you will see grit gathering underneath from the other side, so hoover it also from the back. And I have a small trick for you all, which is to rotate your carpet 180 degrees, not 360, because it will return the way it was. So 180, because if there is a certain traffic from the kitchen to the dining at the same time, so when you rotate it, it will get evenly warm from the other side as well. Some tips. Thank you. Don't put pepper, don't put tobacco, don't put pepper, don't put tobacco. This is your grandmother's recipe, it doesn't work. Go to Sako, they sell naphthalene. Naphthalene. This is the only thing that is proven. There is new naphthalene without odorless naphthalene. Just go and buy just like repellent, animal repellent. Cloves, no, it's a grandmother's recipe. It's like putting crest when you burn your finger. Does it work? طب خلاص, then put clove, fine, okay. طيب, then put clove and add naphthalene, please, كرمالي. So, what to do when your carpet with flash floods of Jeddah, water enters your house and your carpet is covered with water? Let's put it in situ. So the first thing we always tell our clients who call us for emergency, our friends who call us for carpet emergency, said, please, we cannot do anything now. Take the carpet, put it on its back, on the sun, and let it in a flat place. If you can raise it a little bit flat, and let it dry completely, bone dry, and then turn it, send us pictures so we see the damage. If you have a carpet that you bought from Iwan Maktabi, that is a 19th century carpet such as this, the colors actually shouldn't run, because these are natural colors that are fast, that are fixed to the wool. But some new carpets, or some old carpets with some chemical colors, when they are exposed to water, they would most probably run. If you have a professional cleaner and restorer, everything can be restored. And this is the beauty of handmade carpets. We can, if we have the skilled repairman, we can almost repair any damage in a carpet. Thank you very much. Thank you, all of you.